So I guess I'm just gonna vlog. It's just a video, it's just YouTube, it's just social media. It's not that serious. I get my coffee. I need to get my coffee. Let's get my coffee together, shall we? Eight years ago, this very moment, I was admitted to the psychiatric ward at a local hospital. So I'm sitting here and it's been almost 20 minutes of waiting for this person to get on a Zoom call with me. And I'm just gonna wait till the 30-minute mark and then give up. I've emailed them and I'm thinking that maybe I should be emailing people before the Zoom appointment. I don't know why, I just assume everyone else has the same process that I do, which is I have a calendar, Acuity, that I use to schedule appointments, and it automatically goes into my calendar. And I have my calendar set up to send me alerts 30 minutes before, 20 minutes before, so I can be prepared for Zoom calls or phone calls. This is what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm watching YouTube with tabs open that I was going to wait to present. So instead, I'm using my webcam to make sure I'm in the shot of the front-facing camera on my phone. This is not the first or the second time I've had someone not show up to a Zoom. It's okay. Things happen. I'm usually pretty easygoing about it. But yeah, I think I need to start reminding people like the day before or like an hour before to make sure we're all on the same page. So there's that. I'm also waiting because when I'm done with this, whether it's an actual call or done waiting, I need to go to the auto shop where my car has been. That's been a little bit of a pain in the ass. It's weird, and I already have anxiety around having my car worked on, and I don't want to believe or assume that people have not the best intentions. I like to assume the best in people, but I don't know a lot about cars, and when things are being explained to me, it's a little challenging, and I've been talking to them over the phone, so I'm just gonna go down there and have them lay out the cost and the labor and everything just to wrap my head around it and get that taken care of. Oh, I was getting an email because someone else scheduled a call with me, and the cool thing about my calendar and why I like having this calendar with Acuity is I am in Central Time, but a lot of the people I talk to are not in Central Time, and that can get a little confusing. But if you go to my calendar to schedule a call or make an appointment with me, like a consultation or something, you pick your time zone and it will show up in my time zone correctly. So there's no coordinating of it with that. So anywho, what was I saying? Thinking about my content projects coming. Basically, my projects are I've decided to produce 2 podcasts because that's what I want to do. And I'm working with the publishing house again. I don't know. I feel like I've talked about being an editor and a writing coach on here or somewhere on my channel in the ethers of the few videos that I put up. But weirdly enough, I wasn't anticipating working with the publishing house long term in the sense of like I wasn't interested in taking on more editing projects for some time, but I'm not doing editing, I'm doing something else. And you know, I'm a part of the team. I've been around for a few years. They like me, they trust me, so I'm working more closely with them. And then I have another client that I just started working with. And so basically these things are really kind of providing some stability for me so that the content I create can continue to be passion projects for a while. And I think what I've decided is the last 3 months of 2020, I'm just going to buckle down a little bit, get really solid on my flow, my creation process, figuring out my own routine. And I've started to fall into a better routine, and I'm attributing that to the weather and the temperature finally dropping a little bit. And I'm just excited. I feel good about that. Probably the biggest thing, the main thing, is the consistency for me. Consistency has always been a challenge. So for the sake of that, and also to challenge myself without pushing myself too hard right now. I'm vlogging. I'm just gonna vlog and not put too much pressure on myself to have something super cohesive and produced and thought out. Like, yes, have my thoughts thought out when appropriate, but I'm just gonna be here. There's literally no pressure. It's literally not that big of a deal. It's just a video. It's just YouTube. It's just social media. It's not that serious. It's now like almost 7:30, about 7:30. And I did get on my Zoom. We rescheduled for later in the day. So I did get that taken care of, and I don't have that on another day now. And that went well. She got behind, and then I went up to the auto clinic about my car. Thought I was taking it home today. I'm not, which is fine. And then I did my Zoom. Peachy. I am so tired. I've been so busy the last couple days. It's not that I've been like doing a hell of a whole lot, but like I've just been working at my desk mainly. It's been answering emails, sending emails, talking on the phone, virtual meetings, which is fine and great. You know, it's pretty easy. But it's been interesting because the last 2 days have actually had structure to them. Like for the past 2 days, I've gotten up at about 9:30, which is a win for me. While getting enough sleep, went to bed probably well before 2 a.m., probably closer to 1. I hear an airplane. Yeah, so right now it is September 30th, and typically at the end of the month, I do a tarot spread for myself and I journal it. It's also a full moon, so I planned on doing that tonight. I still might. It's still early enough. I might do it before bed, but I'm just kind of tired, and I'm thinking maybe I just take a bath and get ready for bed and zonk out in front of some television and call it an early night, try and keep this sleep schedule, because it is an absolute win. Quarantine ruined my sleep schedule because I'm naturally a night owl as it is. I'm not naturally a morning person. It's really hard for me to get up in the mornings. But lately, like literally the last 3 days, because the day before I got up at like 8:30 a.m., but someone woke me up at 8:30 a.m. But up until like literally the last 3 days, most nights I've been going to bed somewhere between 3 and 5 a.m. and getting up somewhere between noon and 2 p.m., which isn't terrible. No judgment on myself, even though I keep judging myself. But I've really had a desire for a while now to be up in the mornings because I like to take my time. I like to drink my coffee. I like to lay in bed and watch TV. I like to do a couple things around the house before I go straight into work. Well, straight into work mode, I should say, because I don't go anywhere for work. I work from home. I typically do a tarot spread for myself at the end of the month for the beginning of the following month. And full moon, awesome, right up my alley. But if I don't do it tonight, it's not that big of a deal. I probably need to revisit my to-do list for the day and make sure anything that's not urgent is taken care of. And tomorrow should be a lighter workload the first part of the day. I have a virtual meeting at 3, and then a weird small group socially distanced in-person meeting at like 8 or 9 p.m. So that's going to be fun. Yeah, I think I'm going to move on with my night. I'm going to check my to-do list from today and probably get settled, get chilled. Whenever I do sit down and do my tarot, I think I said do, I don't know. When I go to do my tarot reading for myself, I will definitely pop in for sure for that, whether it's tonight or tomorrow. And yeah, that's that. Good morning. Yeah, it's the morning. It's still a.m. I actually did in fact get up again at 9:30 today. Super proud of myself. I just did my tarot journaling, my October forecast for myself, and Here, I'll show you. This is typically what I do. I like to write out the questions or the positions, like the things I want answered, because I like to have this more or less put together once it's there. But I did the central energy and I pulled another card to clarify that. And then I did first, second, third, fourth quarter, what I am letting go of, what I'm inviting in, and my focus. And I don't know if you are at all familiar with tarot, but I'm using a combination of tarot and oracle cards. One main difference between a tarot card is they have the suits and archetypes, and then oracle cards are sometimes, this is a very special oracle deck from Teresa Pridemore, friend of mine. I love the Sovereign Oracle. I will put the link in the description because she is also launching expansion packs for these, which I need to order desperately because I want them. I love this deck so much. But oracle cards will usually have phrases on them and other symbolism besides the traditional tarot. So this is where you'll see a lot of people get really creative with oracle decks that they create. This one's like a mini one. This I just got. This is from I Am Media. This is an affirmation deck. I am everything. So there's 30 cards and they each have a different affirmation on them. And I liked to include it. I just got it, so I'm testing it out. And so far I really, really like it. I love the imagery on these, like the color and shit. I'm about it. I'm about that aesthetic. So what I'm gonna do next is, thankfully today, my workload isn't as heavy the first half of the day. I do have emails to address. I have invoices that I need to send because I'm transitioning with a couple of clients. And so I need to clean up my desk. So I need to email, I need to send invoices, I need to prepare for my 3 o'clock meeting. So I got like 3.5 hours for that. And hopefully in that time, what I actually want to do is try something new on Instagram, and I'm going to film something for it. So hopefully I accomplish that, and it does involve tarot, but I'm going to do a little something different. And yeah, so I'm going to move on with that and clean up my shiz because it's messy. I also, again, over explanation, using the front-facing camera. I have no idea how I look in the shot, if I'm in the shot, how good it looks. So my apologies. We're working on it. Hey. Yeah, I can hear you now. I think we're also waiting on Bobby because he is forever fascinated with figuring out Airtable, so. Oh my God. I have been busy today, as I have been the last 2-3 days, but everything's good. I had as early Zoom, and then it's not as heavy as a work day, maybe. I don't know. Like it's literally about to be 4 o'clock, and I feel like it should be later in the day. So I guess that's good news that I've gotten ahead. I've edited this IGTV video. Thankfully, I did export it, but I'm actually going to render it again or export it again because I want to change something with the audio. So I'm going to do that really quick and try it again and get that uploaded. I cried earlier, cried about my car just because I'm frustrated, and there's nothing really to do. It's just about waiting. This is my 3rd vehicle, and it's also the 2nd vehicle I've gotten from a family member. And it's just been a couple of things. I feel like with every car I've had, there's been some sort of tragedy or issue, like nothing catastrophic bodily. Like I got into one fender bender, but that wasn't my fault. But my past history of cars have not been great. So I just generally have anxiety about cars and my cars in general. But once this is fixed, it will all be fine and I won't have to worry about it. And one day I will get the car I actually want with my own money and it'll be good. It'll be fine. I need to change the audio on these. Read tarot for the better part of 5 or 6 years, and I actually ran a tarot. Okay, I think that's better, but I'm gonna check with my earbuds to make sure that it's good. And get my coffee. I need to get my coffee. Let's get my coffee together, shall we? Okay, I have my coffee, so I'm feeling a little bit better about that. I'm gonna finish fixing this video. Tonight, I'm supposed to have a virtual date with my best friend. I think we're going to watch a movie together online and FaceTime, so that'll be fun. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I have my computer here, right? And I have this love seat couch behind me. I'm gonna move this in front of my desk so I can watch it on my computer in front of me. I think that's gonna be the move, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna finish editing this so I can get it uploaded and have my personal win for the day outside of my other wins. Yeah. All right, hi, hello. Welcome to the first episode of Tarot Readings Nobody Asked For. I'm your host, River, and I am still in pajamas. It's just one of those kind of days. Well, can't say I didn't give you at least a little change of scenery during this vlog. I literally hang out in 2 rooms in the house. This is my bedroom, and then the Florida room that I use for an office and a den. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell to do with my hair. Got a mirror over there. My hair is just the bane of my existence. It kind of just is what it is. So I didn't vlog for a couple days. It's Sunday now, It's Sunday, October 4th. Figured I would try and wrap this up. And actually, the timings worked out in a really interesting way. So recently, one of the channels I am subscribed to is Skincare by Hyram. Love him. Love his advice. Love his content. Recently, he uploaded a video addressing his own suicide attempt, and it was very different than his other content, but it was also really interesting to hear his story and his perspective. 8 years ago, this very moment, I was admitted to the psychiatric ward at the local hospital because I have had a history of self-harm. And when I was 18 years old, I hurt myself a little more than I intended, had an accident, so to speak. And while I don't really necessarily want to get into it right now, I do want to say I'm good. It's been a long journey with mental health and well-being. I've had a history of depression off and on. One thing that really stuck out to me in Hyram's video was, he was talking about things that a lot of people who've had to deal with the mental health system that we have in this country, in the United States, and some of the pitfalls and where they can fail people. Ambulance rides are so expensive. Hospital stays are expensive. Getting any medication if you need it is expensive. And he talked about all those things. There was one thing he brought up that I actually haven't heard personally other people talk about. In case you don't know, in the state of Florida, we call it a Baker Act. But in most other places, it's a 5150 hold. It's a 72-hour involuntary psychiatric hold for anyone who may be in a place where they may pose a danger to themselves or others. And it's just for everyone's safety and well-being, just the best you can do in varying moments of crisis. Hyram pointed out something that I definitely experienced when I was in the psychiatric wing at my local hospital, and it sounds like this is not uncommon in other places. So when I was admitted, there were 2 wings in the psychiatric part of the hospital. And I forget exactly which was which because this was like 8 years ago. But everyone, when they're first brought in, is brought into one. And it was the north and south side of things, but I can't remember which one was designated which. But the first place you go, I mean, it looks like a hospital wing, right? It's isolated off, you know, you're in there. There's a couple hallways and rooms. I had a roommate, became friends with her. It was great. I actually made a couple friends in there, you know, because camaraderie. But I had harmed myself, and there was someone else in my room who had harmed herself. There were people in there who were picked up off the street because they were out of medication and maybe they were homeless and got arrested for something. And instead of taking them to jail, they took them to the psychiatric ward. There was also a gentleman down the hallway who, in his gown, not his regular clothes, but in a gown, would be screaming and yelling at the staff. And certain points of the day, you just like hear things. And I think the point I'm getting at is when I was first admitted, and it sounds like Hyram experienced something similar, is you go in and there's no classification for maybe the severity or the type of mental health crisis you're at. So Hyram in his video talked about like it would have been better if he was placed somewhere with other people who maybe had a suicide attempt versus someone who was having issues with their schizophrenia or other severe mental illness. It's like going to the ER for a sprained wrist and being stuck between someone who is having open heart surgery and someone who's giving birth. When you go to a hospital, there's the ICU, there's the maternity ward, there's surgery, there's, you know, sometimes they'll have oncology and a cancer center, all these different things, but psychiatric or mental health is just kind of lumped into one category when the mental health spectrum is very broad and can manifest in different ways. But it was challenging to be in an environment where I was working through my own issues and next to people who clearly needed the help that they needed, but it was hard not to compare, and it was hard not to think that, not that anyone's crazy, but like, oh my God, am I that bad off as someone down the hall screaming and crying and having issues and they need to be restrained? And there's absolutely no judgment on the patients who were there. It was just hard in those moments to think that I deserved maybe an equal amount of attention or help when I needed stitches and someone needed their medication fixed and they needed to be restrained and they needed extensive long-term care. And my experience after the first day and a half, I was moved to a different ward, a different wing, the other side. So there were two sides, like I said, and that side had carpet and it was a lot quieter. There was only a handful of people in there. You had your own room, just because there weren't a ton of people admitted there, so everyone could have their own room. And that was better because it was quiet and I had the space to think and breathe and calm down, but also there wasn't as much chattiness too with some people. I came out of that experience definitely my own wake-up call with my history of things, but at the same time it can be extremely traumatizing when you are first admitted or you are having this personal crisis, and then you're thrown into an environment that can leave very lasting impressions on you about your own well-being, your own state, and the importance of it. It's definitely something that I don't hear spoken about very often or at all when we talk about our mental health system, our care, the places that you can go for support. It'd be different if you're going to a rehab center in Malibu and can dish out hundreds of thousands of dollars or what have you. And maybe some places do have, wings big enough that they can separate out people after a while. But in my experience, everyone went into the same place first before there was any separation, if there was going to be separation at all. You know, the first place I went into had tile floor. There was nothing like you can just mop it up if someone made a mess type of thing. And the other place was just a little bit more calm and separated from the outside world. So that way you can breathe and reflect and work with your counselor or social worker or whoever you were assigned to, or what other doctors and staff you were working with. And that was better. But like, man, it definitely made an already scary situation even scarier. So back in 2012, that's what happened. I was 18 years old. I'm okay now. I can't necessarily say that when I left the hospital and continued on with my life that everything suddenly changed for me. It was definitely not a linear journey. There were tons of ups and downs and twists and turns, but thankfully, I'm in a space where I think I'm the healthiest emotionally and mentally. And that's not even to say that I don't still experience periods of downtime, being in a fog, things that happen, because mental health is something that isn't just like fixed and it's corrected or fixed forever, you know? I didn't vlog yesterday because I was crying a lot of the day, and it's okay. I needed to cry and let out my emotions or whatever. And I think for me, learning how to acknowledge and honor what I'm feeling or experiencing without drowning in it, and being able to look at my emotions or feelings or even my thoughts as information that maybe my body or my mind is trying to tell me about how I'm perceiving the world around me. And that took a lot of time, and that may not be a path for everyone. And maybe it's something that, you know, comes through with working with a counselor or therapist, or working with a really good support system. And I'm just now realizing my neighbor, one of my many fucking neighbors, is mowing the lawn. Quarantine fucked up lawn care in my neighborhood. Let me tell you what, fucking hell. I'm sorry. I don't even know if it's coming up on the video, and if it is, fuck me, man. But before quarantine, people only did lawn care like early morning on the weekends. Now people fucking do it any fucking day of the week, basically any time of the day, because it's 2020. Who gives a fuck anymore? I give a fuck. People work from home, but it is Sunday, so I probably wouldn't be frustrated if literally any other day of the week there wasn't someone doing their lawn or fixing their roof or cutting down a goddamn tree. Like, I feel like every day I hear someone doing something in this neighborhood that is just loud, and our windows are thin, and it's very annoying for trying to film. So, well, that being said, I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate myself. 8 years ago was bad, and I, would be remiss to not include that the time in between there weren't other hard times, dark times, very challenging moments in my life, but I am here. I'm doing okay. I also wanted to acknowledge, Hyram and his story, and, the courage it takes to kind of share very vulnerable things about your life, and, maybe help someone maybe feel a little less alone with whatever they're going through. It's just getting louder out there. It's just getting louder. It's just getting louder. It's like they're walking closer to my window. I feel like my story isn't a story I hear very often, in the sense of like, I wasn't trying to end my life. I just accidentally hurt myself more than I intended to. And that's a weird way to put it. And I don't know if other people have had similar experiences, but again, there's a lot of gray area. It's not a black and white thing. And I think it's important to have conversations and know that, like, you can't always tell what's going on with a person just by looking at them. You may never know the kind of life they've lived or experiences they've had just because you've met them at a certain point in their life and know them from that initial impression and the days after. So, yeah. I guess the only thing I want to add, because I just feel awkward and don't know how to transition from this conversation is that if you are struggling with your mental well-being or your mental health, that's okay. There's nothing to be ashamed about that. Everyone has mental health. There is a significant difference between mental health and mental illness. They are separate things. They're not unrelated, but sometimes maybe society or our healthcare system treats them as if they're the same thing. So you're struggling or having a hard time, reach out to someone. I am definitely including resources below that I can find that will be possibly helpful for somebody. And your feelings are valid. That's another very important one that I learned of, like, your feelings are valid and they're real because you're feeling them and you're experiencing them. Well, I'm going to continue on with my Sunday, which is basically catching up on my personal to-dos, including vlogging and editing this stuff, because I had a very active work week and I feel like this upcoming week is probably going to be fairly active, at least on the front half of the week. So I'm going to do some domestic shit. I have no idea if I will pop in again before ending this, but if I do, cool.